Good morning all of you. Welcome back once again in online class. In the previous class we have discussed what is the meaning of class, what is the meaning of object, what the class includes, and what is an object. So we made one conclusion. If you look at the previous class, if you go through the previous class, we have made one conclusion that class and object are the basic building blocks of object oriented programming language. Are you getting or not? We used to say that Java is an object oriented programming language. Now today we can say why we say like this, Java is an object oriented programming language, because everything gets revolved around the object only. Okay, whenever somebody says write a program in Java, so immediately we make the class. Just by simply making the class is not enough. After making the class, we make the object, and once we make the object, then only we call the functions and we execute our program. Okay, so if I say class and object is the basic building block of an object oriented programming language, so it is no doubt, of course, they are basic building blocks of any object oriented programming language. Okay, now let us continue our topic, let us continue our discussion. Last time I have stopped after discussing what do you mean by class, what do you mean by object. Now we have certain features of an object. So our next topic is that features of object. So let me write down. Last time I have given the points also. What are the features of an object? Features of an object. For every object we have 4 key features. Okay, we have following 4 features. Number 1, characteristic oblique attributes. Second, behavior. Methods you can see. Third, identity, and the fourth is your state. These are the 4 important features of an object. Let us discuss one by one. Characteristic, then I have given oblique attributes. Now see, this characteristic has been given here with respect to the real life. If I take any example of any object, for example parrot, what is its characteristic? It has 2 wings, 2 legs, 1 beak. That is the characteristic. Behavior, parrot can fly. The parrot can fly. A real example I am taking, a real example. Now question comes up, okay, you have given the real example, we have understand also what is the meaning of characteristic and what is the meaning of behavior. Now explain with respect to the program. Okay, if you want to understand the meaning of object with respect to the program, now come to this part. Attributes. Attribute means variables. Did you remember in the class we used to define variables? I am not talking about any local variable or something where other variables. I am talking about instance variables. Let me give you an example. You know that when by writing the program we used to say that class XYZ, and inside the class we used to define certain variables, int A, int B, int C. They are called attributes. They are called attributes with respect to the program. With respect to the program. With respect to the program. You can say it is a characteristic. This is the characteristic. Or Suppose, I take another example, some simple example. Suppose if I am making a class with the name company, with the name class company. You know that for a company we have so many employees. That employees to be considered as an object. That employees to be considered as an object. Okay, and every employee is having certain characteristic. What? Their name, they have a name, they have an age, they are having basic salary. Are you getting? With respect to the program I am talking about, means with real world. So now, how will you implement this concept with respect to the program? I will make one class company, and here I am going to define one variables to store name, to store age, to store basic salary. String name, int age, double basic salary. So if you make any object of this class, I am talking about with respect to the program. If you make any object of this class, that object will have its characteristic. Suppose if you have made an object employee 1, you have made another object with name employee 2. So employee 1 also having its characteristic name, age and basic salary. Employee 2 also having name, age and basic salary. They are called attributes, or you can say variables. So what the variable which we define inside the class, that is nothing, we are defining the characteristic of an object. Behavior. If I talk about real world, about the parrot, it can fly. Okay. With respect to program, in order to implement behavior, we define methods. We define method. Method means the function. The method which we define inside the class, the function which we define inside the class, they are going to behave as a behavior. It can be anything, any function, it can be any function. For example, if I am making a function void input, or let me write down here. Class company, the variable which I have defined, it is nothing but the characteristic with respect to the real world. And now I am going to make a function here, void input. Another function void calculate, which will calculate 2% of basic salary, something like that. 2% of basic salary. Input, I am taking name, I am taking age, I am taking basic salary. So function which we are making inside the class, they are nothing but a behavior of an object. Behavior of an object. Clear? I am just correlating with the real world and with respect to the programming part. Next is identity. An object has its identity. Real world example, parrot. How did you come to know that it is a parrot? It has own identity. By the name we identify. In the same way, if you are making any class, after making the class, we used to make the object. And what is the syntax for making the object? We all know that. We specify the class name, company. Then we give the object name, suppose OB1, or you can say employee1 equal to new company. We can make another object also. Company, employee 2, new company. I have made two objects of the same class, employee 1 and employee 2. So here identity, employee 1. It is identified by its name, employee 1. This is the another object identified by its name, employee 2. So this is called identity. This is called identity. And the second and the last is features or characteristic of an object is state. To understand the meaning of state, let me take an example. Suppose if you have made any function, parameterized function, string x int a double b. Okay. So in variable name I am storing the value of x. In age I am storing the value of a. In the variable basic salary I am storing the value of b. Okay. If I am calling this function with this object, how will you call? How will you call? How will you call? What is the syntax of calling any function with the help of object? emp1 dot input. I am passing the value here, Amit, comma age 23, comma basic salary 10,000. So employee 1 have its state. The value which we give to the variable, that is called state. That is called state. The value which we give to the variables, that is called state of an object. This is the state of an object. Name Amit, age is 23, basic salary is 10,000. Its state may get changed also. May I will call again employee 1 dot input Amit, comma 25, comma 20,000. Now state has been changed. How? The value has been changed. The value of a variable gets changed, it means that its state has been changed. I am talking about with respect to the program. I am talking about with respect to the program. Previously, object 1, employee 1 has, this was the state. If I am calling input again by the same object name, employee 1, you can see here, with new values 25 and 20,000, the state has been changed. Previously, employee 1 had that state, now employee 1 having this state. This is called state. So what is the conclusion here? The value which we give to the variables, they are called state or state of an object. State of an object. So these are the four characteristics of an object. Attributes means variable which we define. Behavior means the method which we define. Identity, the name which we give while making the object. And the state means the value which we give. The value which we give to the variables, they define state of an object. Okay. That is with respect to the program. That is with respect to the program. In the book it has been mentioned that the attributes of an object show the state of the object, and change in state occurs when some method is applied on an object. See, I am calling this method input. It is state getting changed. Previously this was the value. When I have called the same function with different value, the state has been changed. Let me repeat once again what is the meaning of this line. The attributes of an object show the state of the object. Attribute means variables decides the state of an object. And change in the state occurs when some method is applied on an object. This is the method I am applying. So its state will get a change. Okay. So this is the two lines written in the book, and with respect to the program. So these are the few fundamental things about the class, about the object. Okay. So in multiple choice question they can ask what are the features of object, or they will give you a question. The features of an object is number 1 option, number 2 option, number 3 option. So out of those options you just find out which one is the perfect, which one is the feature of object. So only 4 are there: behavior, attributes, methods, and identity and state. If they are giving option other than this, so they are not the characteristic, they are not the features of an object. Okay. Now, after discussing the class, after discussing the object, let us move to the next step. Now, three technical terms are there. That is declaration. When we create object, three things take place. Number 1, declaration, instantiation, and initialization. Let me write down. Number 1, during the creation of object, we have three parts when we create the object. Number 1, we call it as a declaration. Number 2, we have instantiation. We should know all these technical terms. Instantiation, and the third we call it as an initialization. Okay, these are the three technical terms occur or comes when we make any object. Declaration, instantiation, and initialization. A very important topic it is. There is a two way to make the object. Number 1, in one step I can make the object. First method. Second, using two step. In one statement I can create my object, or one more method is there to create the object using or by writing in two step. Two step means two statement. Let us start from here. How we can make an object in two step. Then I will tell you about in one step. Suppose if you have made a class XYZ. Okay, and you want to make the object of this class in two steps. How I am going to make? Number 1, in one step, what I am going to do, I will write the class name XYZ and I will write the object name OB1 semicolon. And the second step, what I am going to do, I will write ob1 is equal to new xyz semicolon. This is the way to create the object in two steps. In two steps. So when you are writing xyz ob1, this much only, it means that you are doing declaration. It means that you are doing declaration. So what is the meaning of this statement? Only declaration you have done. Only declaration you have done. And if you are writing this statement ob1 is equal to new xyz, it means that you are doing instantiation. Instantiation means creating the object. Creating the object. And for that we are using the keyword new. Okay, so this is very important to note down, because my examiner can ask in a multiple choice question, name the keyword which instantiate an object. You must know what is the meaning of instantiation. Instantiation means creating the object. So which keyword we use, or which operator we use to create the object new? Though we are knowing the answer, but we could not able to tell the answer because we could not understand, we have not understand the meaning of instantiation. So what is the meaning of instantiation? Creating the object. And how we create the object? By using the keyword new. And the last, initialization. You know that while making the object, in the class 10th also it has been discussed. While making the object, if you look at these two statements, this is your class name, this is your object name, this is the keyword for creating the object, and you know what is this part, we call it, this is known as constructor. And you know that what is the role of constructor. Constructor is used to initialize the object. So if I am not passing any value here, so you know that object will get initialized by its default values. Okay, that is called initialization. So my examiner can ask what is the way how we initialize the object. They will give you option: new, constructor, function, method. 4 options it has been given to you. So how we initialize the object? By the help of constructor. So you have to tick. You have to put a tick over that constructor. Not a keyword new, not a method, not a function. Okay, because a new is for creating the object and constructor is for initialization. Okay, so these are the 3 things take place simultaneously when we create object. Declaration we used to do the declaration, then we instantiate, we call it as an instantiation, and then we call it as an initialization. Initialization is done by the constructor, instantiation is done by the keyword new, and declaration we are doing by the class name. Okay, you should know this also, how we create the object in 2 steps. And if you combine these 2 steps, that will be called as a 1 step. That we know also. Mostly we have done that only. We never created the object in 2 steps. But we should know that it is possible that we can make an object in 2 steps also. What will you write in 1 step? Just combine these 2 steps. So what will be the second method of creating the object? xyz ob1 is equal to new xyz semicolon. This is the statement of creating the object in 1 step. Okay, so have you understand the meaning of declaration? Have you understand the meaning of instantiation? And last one is your initialization. Okay, So let us stop here only. We will continue in the next class. Okay, now we will discuss more about the constructor, Okay, thank you so much. God bless you all.